Welcome to the Don't Call Me Skinny podcast. I'm your host, Coach Sarah J. with CP Fitness. I'm an online nutrition coach and trainer who tells it like it is. I work with women all over the world through my online programs. Each Wednesday, I drop an episode dissecting diet culture norms to give you the facts and reality of nutrition and fitness and how they fit into your world. The current diet culture needs to be revamped, and I'm here to set it straight. My passion is teaching you how to take control over your nutrition, fitness, and overall mindset with my no BS approach. Please remember that this podcast is for educational purposes only and should never be used as medical advice. If you like what you hear today, I'd love for you to leave a review, a rating, share it with a friend, and as always, please keep coming back for more. Thank you so much for joining me today. Let's do it. Hello there and welcome back to Don't Call Me Skinny. Coach Sarah J here with CP Fitness. So excited to have you here wherever you are at in your day listening to this. I hope it is going well. I hope you are doing well and not just surviving but thriving during the holidays. Very excited. I have a feeling by the time this airs, I will hit a big milestone for me for the podcast. And no, it's not quite the 2-year anniversary. That's actually next Wednesday. But it would be over 15,000 downloads. So I want to say thank you guys so much for showing up. Some of you guys, every single time I put a podcast episode out, you are right on it listening. And I really do appreciate that more than I can really express and say. So thank you so much for that. So outside of that, obviously we have some great things happening right now with Group Coach Fitness. I am loving this group. Not that I haven't loved all of my groups, but this group is amazing. They are so vocal in the group. They're so on it. They're dedicated. They're like doing this shit. It's incredible. I have a couple of older, I don't want to say older people, like what I mean by that is like previous people who were doing this before that were in 2.0 and one even in 1.0. And then I have a few new people too into this space as well. So it's kind of like a really great meld. I have some people who have been here and done it who can also now start helping those who are trying to get with it and make it happen. And so watching these two worlds kind of collide is pretty awesome. And not only that, but I truly feel like after now, this is round 3, I am really starting to call in people who are ready to take action. If you have heard me kind of talk about this, it's kind of sometimes hard when like people don't know really what I do. And what I do is very different than what people are ever accustomed to. I'm not your, body program or Weight Watchers or anything like that. This is very different. And so sometimes it can be really hard for people to comprehend and really wrap their brain around what I do. And so it sometimes can be difficult to explain. It's just like this thing you have to come in and experience. And I have to say that the ladies that are coming into my world right now, I'm very excited about you. Even if you're not my client yet, but we're talking, we've had conversations, you're making steps towards becoming my client. It's because it's like trusting yourself, and trusting yourself is really fucking hard. And so I just wanted to say, like, I'm stoked. I'm stoked for the women who are here, and I'm stoked for the women that are coming, and I'm ready for you if you're ready to do something completely different than you've ever done before. Okay. That being said, we're going to talk about something actually that came up in my group coaching call last night. And it was like, sometimes I'll be talking and I'll just go on these rants and I'm like, oh, podcast episode. I literally told them in the middle of the call, oh my gosh, there's my podcast episode, because sometimes I have these like light bulb moments, like, oh my God, there it is. That's it right there. And so yesterday we were talking about the basics. So normally, like I had said kind of before, I think in a different podcast, like normally I like to spend the first week working on systems, but this is a shortened holiday banger weight loss program for real women. So the 3.0 is a very shortened version, condensed. Okay. And we're really focusing on the basics. We're focusing on self-sabotage, all or nothing mentality. And so we kind of started dabbling into these topics a little bit last night. And, they got their macros, they have all the water, their goals, they have the step goals, they have their training, they have like this, right? It's kind of almost like I took the whole kitchen sink again and threw it at them. But what I was able to clarify on this call was that I don't want people doing a fuck ton of shit. And that the expectation is not for this to get checked off and that to get checked off and check this off and check that off the list and check this off the list and get this in and check that off the list. That's not the goal of this month. The goal of this month is to start really creating some awareness around our behaviors. It's really to start putting things in the conscious part of our brain versus the subconscious part of our brain. And when we're doing that, it doesn't mean that we take the whole cookie and shove it in our mouth. Maybe we're like an Oreo where my grandmother hated this, like where you like undo the Oreo and you like just eat the one piece that doesn't have the cream filling on it, right? That's where we're at. Let's just take a small chunk, take a little bite-sized piece. So I was talking about how it's okay if you don't hit all your macros. You're not supposed to. I don't expect you to. It's okay if you're not perfect with your water. I don't expect you to be. It's okay if you don't get every single training in or hit your steps every single day. I don't expect you to get, right? It's okay if you're not managing your stress very well right now. It's a crazy holiday and we're going to work on some tools to help you do that. Right now, I went through these in order of which I think are the most important, which was sleep, water, protein, stress management, movement. Stress management might be up there. It might be like tied with sleep, really honestly. But I'm going to be super honest too. You can lose weight without managing your stress. It makes it harder for sure, but it can be done. Sleep will actually fuck everything up. It is kind of like the catalyst, if you will, of everything else. It runs into your water intake. It goes to your protein. So whether or not you're actually consuming protein or you're like, fuck it, I'm eating donuts all day, it goes into if you're able to even manage your stress. And it also goes into, do you have the energy to even fucking move your body? So sleep is kind of like the catalyst. It's kind of like the number one. And so I gave them homework, which this is new this time. I'm trying to keep it funky and fresh since I have somebody in there that's been in there all 3 rounds. Okay. And so I'm kind of trying to keep it new, keep it exciting, keep it a little bit different. And I gave them homework. Now you're probably like, oh, that was so kind of you. Give them homework when it's already a fucking busy ass time of year. Now this isn't crazy homework. This is awareness homework. Okay. This was like, let's call a spade a spade. Let's figure out what are we doing well? What are we not doing well at all? And what do we actually want to focus on? Because it doesn't even have to be the thing that you're not doing well that you have to focus on. It could be like, yeah, crushing my water, my protein is shit, but I really want to focus on my sleep. Excellent. Let's focus on your sleep, right? So it doesn't even have to be like what we're sucking at horribly. We don't even have to tackle that thing. We don't even have to touch it. We don't even have to, let's just acknowledge that it's there. Let's just acknowledge that it's out there and we're not very good at it, and that's okay. And we can just acknowledge it and then move on. It's fine, and focus somewhere else. That's cool, but we are still acknowledging that it's there, okay? Which I think is a lot of things that we don't want to do. We don't want to acknowledge all the things that we're bad at. Well, why wouldn't we want to do that? Well, because that puts us in a really bad negative headspace. But if we acknowledge it and still focus and put our focus into a different place, well, it doesn't necessarily put us in a negative headspace, okay? And so one thing that came up, okay, and this was like an epiphany. It was like I've already known this. This is another way of saying all or nothing mentality. This is another way. But what I explained to them and how I explained it is never a way that I've explained it before. So I'm going to explain to you this all or nothing mentality and what typically happens when we start a diet, right? Kind of like what I did. I threw at them water goals. I threw at them step goals. I threw at them protein goals. I threw at them movement goals. I threw at them water. I already said water. Sleep goals. I threw at them, hey, let's fucking manage your stress. Like, hey, let's do all these things, right? Kind of like I said, I threw the kitchen sink at them. I said, here's all your stuff. Okay, there you go. There, take it. Okay. But on the back end of that, I went back into that and said, but don't be perfect with it. If it seems overwhelming, take that piece out. Take this piece out. Take that piece out. Take that piece out. If it seems overwhelming. I actually have one lady who has both. She's going to be tracking her food when it feels good for her to track, but she's also going to be doing the pictures when she feels overwhelmed and frustrated and is like, fuck it. I don't have time to track, or I don't have the capacity to do this, because there's still an accountability piece by taking a photo of the thing that you're eating. Okay. That's how we do it. It doesn't have to be perfect. Not every little morsel has to be tracked. Right. So even though I threw the whole kitchen sink at them and I was like, here you go, I, on the back end, went in and said, but we don't have to be perfect with it all, right? Because nobody says that in Weight Watchers. Nobody says that in Herbalife. Nobody says that in Beachbody. No, it's like, if you want the results, you better fucking track your points. If you want the results, you better eat out of those fucking containers and get all those workouts in. If you want the results, you better only drink those only drink those 2 shakes and that sensible dinner. You better only do this, and this. Otherwise, you're not going to get the results. I don't work that way. I don't work that way. That is 0 to 100. That's 0 to 100. And what ends up this is the analogy here. What ends up happening is when we go from 0 to 100 and we cannot maintain 100, we go right the fuck back to 0. We don't go to 50. We don't go to 75. We don't even go to fucking 10. We go back to 0. And what I told the ladies, I said, girls, ladies, just go to fucking 1. Just go from 0 to fucking 1. Why? Why would I tell somebody to go to 1 and not 100? Not even 10, not even 50, not even 5. Why would I tell somebody to go from 0 to 1? Because 0 to 1 and really focusing on 1 is better than going from 0 to 100 back to fucking 0, because 1 is still further than 0. We're still further ahead. We're still further down the path. We took that step forward. We're at 1. Awesome. Let's get fucking 1. Go to 2. Awesome. It takes us a few minutes. I would say minutes, but in like the realm of time, maybe a couple weeks. Get number 2. Go to 3. Boom. Guess what? 3 is further than 0. 3 is further than going all the way to 100, saying, fuck this shit. This is way too hard. I don't understand. I'm annoyed. I'm frustrated. I'm overwhelmed. I'm quitting. 0. Because that's the reality. The reality is you don't go back to 50. You all know it. I know it. I never fucking went to 50. Just right back, never fucking mind. I'm going to eat egg whites and salt and pepper for the next 3 weeks. Oh, that's going to go so well. No carbs. Oh, that's going to go so well. Then when it doesn't happen and you eat that piece of cake, or you eat outside of this very restrictive food diet that you've chosen for yourself, this fucking cardboard shit that comes in the mail, right? You know what I'm talking about? Mm-hmm. Back to 0. Never mind. Can't drink. I can't do this. I can't. And I'm not condoning drinking, but I'm also saying that it's so restrictive. If you're a person that is a social person and you go out and drink and then you're told you're not allowed to drink, well, okay. I don't know if that's the right program for me, which is okay. That can be the right program. I know a coach that coaches very similar to me, but you are not allowed to drink. She will not coach you if you're a drinker. I coach to educate. I don't coach to demand people do things my way. I'm going to tell you how alcohol will affect your weight loss. I'm going to tell you how alcohol will affect your sleep, which will then affect your weight loss. I'm going to tell you how alcohol will have you making decisions with your food when you're a little bit inebriated that don't help you. And then you feel like shit the next day. I will tell you all these things. Now, you are a big person. You get the choice to choose whether or not you decide to partake in those events and the alcohol. That's on you. I cannot control a person. I also think that I can help a person and I can still get results for a person if they drink. Am I just going to say, well, fuck you because you drink? Well, fuck you. I don't do things that way. Just like I don't tell people who eat donuts, fuck you. I'm going to help you. I'm going to help you understand why eating a bag of donuts that you get at 7-Eleven is probably not ideal and it's not going to help you. Does that mean I can't coach you because you're eating a bag of donuts every day? I'm just, throwing out my Twizzler situation here, right? Like, no, that doesn't mean that. That doesn't mean that at all. It solely means that I'm going to educate you on how you can do this differently so that way you can be successful. Or when you don't understand why you're not getting results, well, let's look at this piece. Let's look at this element over here that we're just not paying any attention to, right? Which is why I think it's important that we can pay attention to an element that doesn't serve us, that we kind of suck at, and then we can acknowledge it and then still focus on something else, but at least be in an awareness that this thing is, a problem for me. This is a hard piece for me. This is an issue, right? But the problem is when we go from 0 to 100, we don't have the wherewithal to hold 100, right? The gas is going to eventually go. We're going to empty. And what happens when we empty is that we have been so good at the 100 that when we lose the gas and we lose the drive and we lose the momentum, or as some of you people out there love to call it motivation, boom, 0. Goes right back to fuck down. All or nothing. I either got to go all in or I can't go in at all. Instead of dipping the toe in the water, just go to 1. Just go to 1. You don't have to go to 100. And so I was really focusing on that last night with them because it probably did seem overwhelming. I'm like, here's your chicken, here's your this, here's your that, here's your this, here's your that. That's also why I did a kickoff call last week, was to go over some of those things, right? I sent an individual video of what the check-in form looked like so they could look at that a little bit separately and to break it up for them, right? My goal isn't to overwhelm. Now, again, in the matter of 4 weeks, it's not a lot of time to get all the material that I need to, or that I would like to, off, right? It's just not. It's just not a significant amount of time, which is okay. I'm okay with it, but it also makes it difficult. It can make it very difficult. So when we have that other piece of getting the whole kitchen sink handed to us, and yet we are on a time constraint, I have to go in and I have to say, let's just figure out what is happening, right? So for instance, I gave them their homework out of the 5 basics. And what I did was I had all the 5 basics, like basically sleep, quality 6 to 8 hours, no waking, able to fall asleep and stay asleep. Cool. Water, no less than 60 ounces a day with total fluid balance, including electrolytes. Awesome. Protein, building blocks for muscles, no less than 100 grams a day. Cool. Stress management, have a toolbox ready for you and prepared for stressful moments that happen in situations throughout your day. Cool. Movement, could be walking or strength training. Keep in mind, this is also stress on the body. Pull back when necessary. Awesome. So these are all things that we talked about. We went over each basic, what is important about it, why it's important to this process, and why going from 0 to 1 is going to be more beneficial than 0 to 100. And I made it very clear. I say here, right? These are kind of like my guidelines for what I would like to see my clients at minimums. These are minimums, right? Water, no less than 60 ounces a day. Okay, but if you're only drinking 30, I don't know what the fuck you're going to be doing trying to get in 60. That's not going to be beneficial. So I made it very clear. Hey, if you're only drinking 30 ounces, that's okay. Let's aim for 40. Let's aim for 40 ounces. Let's just go to 1. Just go to 1. We don't have to go to 25 or 55. Let's just go to 1. And so their homework was essentially to say, which one are you crushing? Which one needs the most work? And which one are you focusing on? Now, some people did eventually, they did say, like, the one that they needed the most work with is the one that they wanted to focus on. That was me. So I'll give you my own example, which I crush protein. That's never an issue for me. Right now I'm lacking water badly, and that is going to be my focus because water, I'm really bad with water right now, and it needs to be better, right? Some people are crushing water. Their worst is their worst thing that they're at is movement, but they want to focus on something else, right? Or one of them was crushing protein, needs work on sleep, and going to focus on sleep. So it could be the same, just like mine, right? And those are all great. They're all steps to get to 1. I'm not sitting here telling you you must get in 60 ounces of water. You must get 100 grams of protein. You must get in your movement. You must manage your stress, and you must get your sleep together. What happens when I tell them that, well, if you don't do this, you suck, you fail, you're shitty. Fuck you. That's not helpful. That's not helpful at all. That's not even a little bit helpful, right? The one client that I've talked about a couple times where she's lost weight, but she's not even in a fat loss phase. Literally, we are only focusing on movement. We're making sure we're getting in our protein, and I've set her fat goal. That's it. That's what we're focusing on. Notice I didn't say anything about sleep. Notice I didn't say anything about stress. Didn't even say anything about water, right? We're focusing on her movement. She wants to be super intentional with her walks on the weekend. So we're making sure we get that in, and we have her protein goal and her fat goal. And that's what we're focusing on. Even as a one-on-one client, I'm not throwing the whole kitchen sink at you. And it's a lot easier for me to add in things little by little by little by little by little for my one-on-one clients because I have at minimum 6 months with you. So that makes it a lot easier for us to spend a month just getting onboarded, getting into the apps, getting your programming all set and ready to go, focusing on what you want your goals to be, water, walking, whatever they look like, right? And let's start tracking our protein. Let's get a baseline. Where are we at? Cool. Let's add in some fats now. Awesome. I mean, it's that simple. And the problem is we want to fucking complicate it because that's what we've been told that we need to do, right? Now, I'm going to say this because this is another thing that I said. And I don't know if maybe I'll do my Friday No Filter on this particular topic, but diet culture has got us to this place. And this is going to be my Friday rant. So I'm not going to go ranty on here. But diet culture has got us to this all or nothing mentality. Diet culture has got us and forced us to go from 0 to 100. And if we can't do it all, then fuck you. And that's why we have never been successful with it. There were so many times, I wanted to quit so badly 8 years ago because I wasn't getting the result I wanted. Well, why wasn't I getting the result I wanted? Well, partially because I was doing the same thing I did every other time. I don't know why I thought it would work again, but I did. The other piece is I was trying to focus on everything. I was trying to focus on every single thing. It's like, man, you know what? I'm just going to make sure I'm eating protein and I'm fucking getting in my movement. Cool. Sleep was not an issue for me at that time. My kids were younger. They were in bed by, miss these days, like 7:30, 8 o'clock, 7:30. Really miss these days. And then they would sleep until 7 o'clock in the morning because they were all in elementary school. So we didn't have to be up, at the butt ass crack. I mean, they're at school at 7 o'clock at this point. Right? But the point that I'm making here is we didn't get here on our own. We've had a lot of outside noise that got us to this all or nothing mentality place where we feel like 0 to 100 is the only option. There's nothing in between, which is why we always go back to 0. And why we will always go back to 0 until we learn that going from 0 to 1 is okay. And let me tell you, accepting that 0 to 1 is better is so fucking hard to do because it's not what we're taught. It's not how our brain is designed. Well, if I can't do it all, never mind. It's just not how it works. And that makes it so difficult. It makes it so damn difficult. And that's hard. That's hard to admit. That's hard to accept. It's all just hard. It's all hard because we've allowed it, right? Even though it's not our fault, we've allowed it. We've allowed it to be this way. And that's really my rant on Friday is going to be about the fact that we are responsible for our own choices, but we've had a lot of outside noise that has helped create these choices. And that's the hard part. So 0 to not 100. What would it look like for you to go to 0 to 1? That would be my question. And out of all these basics, ask yourself the same question. What are you crushing? What are you not doing very well? And what would you like to focus on? And understand, here's your permission. I'm going to give you this permission that only focusing on one thing for the week is okay to do. It's okay to do. So we have the basics of sleep, water, protein, stress management, movement. What are you crushing? Right? What are you crushing? What are you like, woof, I really suck at this. Acknowledge it. Be okay with it. Understand it doesn't have to change this exact moment. And then what do you want to focus on? What do you want to focus on? Right? So again, for me, I crush my protein. I'm really sucking at water. I'm going to focus on my water. I, so far today, haven't done a great job of that either. So that's also a problem. Right? All right, you guys, there will be obviously a Friday podcast here this week. I am very, I'm going to say it. I'm a nervous excited for my powerlifting meet this weekend. I am riding the struggle bus a little bit this week. All my training is different, or if I'm even training, everything is just different this week. So here's to doing hard shit. Here's to doing uncomfortable shit. You are capable. I'm going to remind you that you're capable of doing hard things, and they don't have to look like what everybody else is doing. They don't have to be the way everybody else does things. It can be your own kind of way of doing things, and that's okay too. So on that note, I will catch you guys on Friday. I hope you have an amazing hump day, because every day is a great day for a hump, and I will talk to you guys later. Thank you so much for joining me today. I appreciate your time, and if you like what you heard, please be sure to screenshot and share it with others who may enjoy it too. Don't forget to click the link in the show notes to see the ways that we can work together to start your journey. Always remember that every day is a new day to do better, be better, and begin again.